My boss is a micromanager. What an awful thing to have to deal with. You must feel like you're on safari, and doesn't matter what you do, there's always somebody looking at you from all angles. Every move that you make is being watched, and your manager is always there, and as soon as something goes wrong or as soon as you do something, they pounce on you. But don't do that. Do this instead. Well, can't I think for myself? Every idea you come up with, it's dismissed, and they say, no, you must do it this way, you must do it that way. You feel like your work has been marked by a school teacher. It comes back with not just red text on it, but yellow highlighter. And it's just so frustrating. Well, it's now time to bounce back and take some action. Having a micromanager can be soul destroying. You know, they overtell you what to do. They're a bit of a control freak. They may be actually very technically minded. They may think they're doing well, but it's just constant changing and doing this and doing that. They always like certain things done in a certain way, and they just can't see another way of doing things. Sometimes actually, they may actually lack confidence themselves. Perhaps they've been micromanaged themselves or have done in the past. Or actually, they may think they're doing you a big favour because they're giving you really good guidance and clear instructions on everything. They just don't see the impact they're having. So we've got to take action and make sure that we have some really good conversations with them. But if you feel that you're competent and you can think for yourself and you can do good work, that's a good thing to think about first. Perhaps the manager's got a point. But if you do really think, yeah, I'm good at what I do, I can think for myself. I don't want to feel worthless because it's suffocating. I always feel unappreciated. My self-esteem and confidence taking a bit of a bash, and it's just no fun coming to work. I actually dread it, especially those Sunday evenings and Monday mornings. And yeah, this can have a real impact on your career opportunities and opportunities within work and within the business in the future. So yes, it's time for what we call courageous conversations. But before you do this, it's really important you do some planning. And this is really essential for this to go well, because otherwise you're going to go in, you're going to get defensive, you're going to say the wrong thing in the wrong way and the wrong time, and it's all going to blow up. Ever had one of those conversations? I'm sure we all have. So before you go in and think about this, you've got to do a couple of things. The first one is collect examples. Collect examples of them being a micromanager. Get a notebook, have some conversations with people that you trust, not to have a moan and a bitch about the situation, but just to get some good factual examples. Collect some really good examples. And then sit down and think, right, how does this make me feel? Because at some stage you're going to have to give this feedback. So you need to plan for this. And then think, right, how would you like it to be in the future? So you've got to always be careful what you wish for. So do sit and think, right, how would I like us to work in the future? And this is really important in terms of you making sure that when you do go for these conversations, you are well prepared. So before you go giving your manager feedback, I think it's a really good idea to look at the situation through their eyes and get some feedback on you. Perhaps ask for a one-to-one if they're not common, and if they're not common, ask for one-to-ones on a regular basis, or perhaps take the opportunity with an appraisal or a review coming up. Be positive about the whole situation. Yeah, don't get defensive and don't take things personally. Really important. Try and understand how they see the situation and how they see what you're actually doing. So ask some questions. How do you think I'm doing in my work? Get some feedback. Now, if they're very critical, I'll discuss that a bit later, but perhaps they don't see it. Perhaps they just think, oh, you're doing a good job. And, but get this information. How do they think you're doing? And get this, don't react, don't get defensive, don't go on the attack, just listen. And perhaps make some notes. Ask them, what do they think you could do better? There again, don't get defensive, just listen. Don't overreact. And also, how would they like you to work, or you to work in the team and with them in the future? There again, don't overreact, don't get defensive, just listen and make some notes. If they've got some very valid points, perhaps you need to listen and take them on board. But if you feel, well, no, I do need to give them some feedback actually. I've accepted what they've said, but really I do need to give them some feedback. So you've started the first part of the courageous conversation, is getting feedback on yourself. It's time to give feedback to them. In the planning, we talked about collecting examples, and this is your chance to provide them with some feedback. So you need to be able to say to your manager, look, I just want to talk about a couple of situations that have happened. You've often corrected me in meetings in front of others. You're constantly changing my slides and proposals and, turning it all around. You're rewriting my emails and using that yellow highlighter or red ink to highlight what needs to be changed, or even worse, doing things in capital letters. You're finding fault with most things that I do. Have those good examples, and deliver them. Then it's very important for you to tell them how it makes you feel, how their actions make you feel. You're not blaming them, you're just providing factual examples. You're making me feel worthless, and what's the point of me doing the work if you just keep changing it? Everything I do just gets changed and ignored, and you ask me my opinion, but you never actually take it, and sometimes you don't even ask my opinion. Just tell me what I need to do, or what you need to do is when you've done that, do that and do this and do the other. Doesn't actually make me feel a valued member of the team. Tell them how you feel, and that's really quite important. Try not to get emotional. Don't get defensive. Just provide factual information. Now you've got to come on to the third bit. What would you prefer in the future? And you've got to gain some agreement on that. I'd like some freedom to be able to answer questions for myself in meetings. I'd like to be able to deliver a presentation that isn't actually your work, because people see that you've changed it. They know that I haven't done it. So provide what you would like. And I'd like to be able to produce and deliver my own work and be measured and other people to see me for what I can actually do, knowing that it's my work, not your work. So talk about that, gain agreements. It's great to see that you're still with me, and for that I've got a free download in the comments box below with regards to helping you to manage your personal development. Lots of tips and advice that you can take on board, and naturally as ever, any questions, please do get in contact. So as I said, once you've given this feedback, work on an agreement and for a follow-up and a future date for you to look at this. And as I said, if you're not having regular one-to-ones, ask for them. If they're not very good at doing appraisals and reviews on a regular basis, ask for them. Start to think, depending how it's gone so far, depends what you do next. If you've got them, if you got to the stage of them giving you feedback and it's just constantly critical, perhaps you need to say to them, well, why haven't you given me this feedback in the past? I've been working with you for X number of months or years, and you always just say that I'm doing fine, but then you just constantly micromanage me. Why haven't you given me this feedback in the past? Have an adult conversation. I once had a manager in my review tell me that I hadn't hit my mid-year and end-of-year objectives, which meant I didn't get a bonus. And I said, well, why haven't you told me this? He didn't really have an answer. And it actually cost me quite a lot of money. I was furious because I thought I was doing a great job. He'd never told me otherwise. So say to your manager, look, if you don't give me feedback, how can I improve? How can I develop? Don't get defensive. Don't turn it into an argument. Just deal with the facts. So, depending on where you are at this stage of them giving you feedback, you may like to sort of give them that message. So once you've gone through this process, it's decision time. We've all got to make decisions about life and careers and work and what we do and what we don't do. Don't worry about blaming others. You just got to make you've had the great conversations, and well done for having those courageous conversations. But you've got to then decide, can I work with them? Are they generally keen to change and provide a better support and a better environment for me to work? Do I feel that I can, work with them? There's good opportunities here. I can learn more, and actually it's a good job. It's a good company. I'm working with a good team. I want to give it a go. So you've got to decide, is that an opportunity or no? nothing's really going to change. I've had the conversation, I've given them the feedback, they've given me feedback, didn't really like what they had to say, they didn't really like the feedback that I gave them. Do you know what? It is time to move on. I've now got to just make other decisions. But at least you can sit there and give yourself a bit of a pat on the back and go, but I've dealt with the situation. I've given me the opportunity, I've given them the opportunity to try and resolve this. It's not going to work. I've done all I can do. And I think if you get to that stage, you should be proud of yourself. But whatever you do, if you've watched this video, don't go and do nothing and just resign and walk away. Especially, as I said, if it's a good job, that isn't a good idea at all. Always give yourself the opportunity. And going through this process, it may be a bit nervy. Perhaps you need to ask someone to give you a bit of advice along the way, to a bit of support. But yeah, you should be proud of yourself if you are able to have these conversations so you can help your micromanager to be a much better manager. But you may have gone through this video, you may have gone through this process and think, well actually, and perhaps you've spoken to some others that you trust, well actually this micromanager, it's not just micromanaging, it's actually bullying, it's actually harassment. I don't accept this, and you shouldn't accept it. So you do need to bring it to the attention of someone in your HR team, or a more senior manager, or perhaps get someone to help you to take this further. That's essential. If you feel this micromanager has overstepped the mark, that's really important. That if you feel it's bullying and harassment, yeah, it's different conversations. So I hope that isn't the case. I hope it is the case that they weren't perhaps that aware, and you can move forward. So if you are going through this process, good luck with it. If you need any help, give me a shout, and I hope you can find a really good way forward. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe, like the video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.